Building 42, a steel and glass monolith, a monument to corporate ambition, 42 floors of offices, each identical to the last, a honeycomb of cubicles and boardrooms. It hummed with a quiet energy, the air conditioning whispered secrets. Footsteps echoed down sterile hallways. But beneath this veneer of normalcy lurked something else. A darkness, a secret. Everyone who worked in Building 42 felt it. A prickle on the back of the neck, an uneasy feeling in the pit of their stomachs. They couldn't quite place it. The strange occurrences started subtly. A flickering light, a door slamming shut on its own, the elevator stopping on the wrong floor, just minor glitches. Or so they thought. Then came the whispers. Rumors spread through the building like wildfire. Tales of strange noises late at night, shadows moving in the periphery, and the persistent feeling of being watched. These whispers, though dismissed as urban legends, carried a chilling truth. A truth that would soon reveal itself in the most unsettling way. Sarah, a young intern with bright eyes and a hopeful smile, stepped into the elevator. It was late. The building was nearly deserted. The only sound was the gentle hum of fluorescent lights. She pressed the button for the 23rd floor. The doors slid shut. The elevator lurched upwards. Sarah checked her reflection in the polished steel doors. She was starting to feel tired. Suddenly the elevator jolted. The lights flickered. Sarah grabbed the handrail, her heart pounding. The elevator lurched again, this time coming to a complete stop. Silence. Sarah's heart raced. She pressed the call button. No response. She tried her phone. No signal. Fear began to creep into her. She was trapped. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Sarah's breathing became shallow and rapid. She felt a cold sweat prickling her skin. Then, the impossible happened. The elevator started moving again. But it wasn't going up. It was going down. Down to a place that shouldn't exist. The next morning, Sarah was gone, vanished without a trace. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through Building 42. Security footage told a chilling tale. It showed Sarah entering the elevator. It showed the elevator stopping on the 13th floor, a floor that didn't exist in the building plans, and then, nothing. The footage cut out. When it resumed, the elevator was empty. The police were baffled. There was no sign of forced entry, no sign of a struggle, no sign of Sarah. It was as if she had simply stepped into thin air. The whispers grew louder. The unease turned to fear. Building 42, once a symbol of progress and success, now stood as a haunting reminder of the unknown, the mystery of the hidden floor, the mystery of Sarah's disappearance, the mystery that no one dared to solve. The elevator shuddered. A high-pitched whine pierced the silence, echoing in the confined space. Sarah gripped her phone tighter, her knuckles white. The numbers above the door flickered, changing from 12 to 14 and back again, a dizzying dance of faulty wiring. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic rhythm against the silence of the building. She pressed the call button again, harder this time, as if sheer force could penetrate the growing sense of dread that enveloped her. No answer. Only the insistent buzzing of the button beneath her thumb. The air grew thick, heavy, making it hard to breathe. A cold sweat broke out on her skin. Her reflection in the polished steel doors stared back at her, eyes wide with a terror she couldn't quite name. The elevator lurched again, throwing her off balance. She stumbled, dropping her phone. It clattered to the floor, the screen going dark. Panic, raw and primal, clawed at the edges of her control. She was trapped, alone, in the belly of a building that suddenly felt more like a predator than a place of work. With a groan of metal on metal, the elevator finally shuddered to a halt. The numbers above the door flickered one last time, settling on a bright, malevolent red 13. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. There was no 13th floor in Building 42. Everyone knew that. She pressed the button for the lobby, her finger trembling. Nothing. The doors remained stubbornly closed. Silence pressed in on her, suffocating in its totality. No hum of machinery, no distant city sounds, only a heavy, expectant quiet that seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. She took a step back from the control panel, as if it were a living thing, something to be wary of. The air grew colder, biting at exposed skin. A faint metallic tang tickled the back of her throat, making her gag. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through the fog of panic. This was wrong. Terribly wrong. She was trapped in a place that shouldn't exist, on a floor that defied logic and reason. And in the silence she could almost hear it, a whisper, soft and insidious, slithering around the edges of her awareness. It beckoned her. The security room buzzed with a nervous energy. Two guards, faces illuminated by the flickering glow of multiple monitors, watched the footage with growing unease. "There," said the older guard, pointing to a screen. "Elevator 12. That's her, right?" The younger guard leaned closer, squinting at the grainy image. A young woman, her features blurred by the low resolution, stepped into the elevator. He rewound the footage, replaying the sequence. 8:53 p.m., she gets in on 12, presses 23. The older guard grunted, tapping a finger on the desk. And then, wait, the younger guard frowned, leaning even closer to the screen. "The hell? It skips." He scrubbed back and forth through the footage, a frown etching itself deeper into his face. There's a gap. Missing data. Right after she hits the button. The older guard swore under his breath, pushing back from the desk, his face suddenly pale. "What is it with this building?" he muttered, more to himself than his partner. "Always something." They watched, transfixed, as the timestamp on the screen jumped ahead, bypassing several crucial minutes. When the footage resumed, the elevator was empty. The younger guard stared, open-mouthed, at the screen. "Where?" he began, but the words died in his throat. His partner let out a low whistle, running a hand through his thinning hair. Gone, just like that. They reviewed the footage again and again, each playback confirming the impossible. Sarah, the young intern, had vanished. The elevator, its doors remaining stubbornly closed on the non-existent 13th floor, stood as a silent testament to the impossible. The mystery of Building 42 had claimed another victim. The security footage became an obsession, a grainy puzzle box that held the key to Sarah's disappearance. The two guards, veterans of countless late-night shifts and minor security breaches, found themselves drawn back to the monitor, their eyes glued to the flickering images. "There," the older guard muttered, jabbing a finger at the screen. "See that? Right before it cuts out." The younger guard leaned closer, his face illuminated by the ghostly glow of the monitor. The timestamp read 8:54 p.m. The elevator, having just reached the non-existent 13th floor, sat frozen in the frame. A single, flickering light bulb cast long, distorted shadows down the empty hallway beyond the open doors. "The lights," the younger guard whispered, his voice barely audible above the hum of the security equipment. "They flicker, just for a second." It was true. The lights in the hallway, normally a steady, sterile white, flickered, casting the hallway into momentary darkness before returning to their previous state. A simple power surge? Perhaps. But in the context of Sarah's disappearance, it took on a more sinister air. The older guard, a man who prided himself on his rationality and skepticism, felt a shiver crawl down his spine. He had dismissed the rumors and whispers that plagued Building 42 as nothing more than bored office workers looking for something to spice up their monotonous days. But now, staring at the impossible on the security feed, he felt a knot of unease tightening in his gut. "Run it back," he said, his voice hoarse. The younger guard complied, his fingers dancing across the keyboard. The footage rewound, then played again, the images jumping and pixelating as they searched for answers in the digital ether. There it was again, the flicker, so brief, so easily dismissed as a technical glitch. But it was there, a whisper of something wrong, a crack in the veneer of normalcy that sent a chill down the spines of the two men watching. The more they analyzed the footage, the more unsettling it became. The missing minutes, a gaping hole in the digital timeline, taunted them. What had happened in those lost moments? What had the cameras failed to capture? "I've never seen anything like it," the younger guard admitted, shaking his head. "Clean skip, like someone sliced it out with a razor blade." The older guard grunted, his eyes still glued to the screen. He had spent years watching the comings and goings of Building 42, witnessing the mundane routines and occasional dramas unfold within its sterile walls. But this this was different. This wasn't just a lost wallet or a late-night rendezvous gone wrong. This was a vanishing act, a disappearance that defied logic and reason. They checked the other cameras, hoping for a different angle, a stray reflection, anything that could shed light on the mystery. But there was nothing. Sarah, the young intern with her bright smile and hopeful eyes, had stepped into elevator 12 and vanished into thin air. The silence in the security room was deafening. The hum of the equipment, usually a comforting background noise, now seemed oppressive, a constant reminder of the mystery that unfolded before their eyes. "What do we do now?" the younger guard asked, his voice barely a whisper. The older guard took a deep breath, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. He didn't have an answer. Not yet. But one thing was certain. Building 42 had shown its true face, and it was a face that stared back with cold, unblinking eyes. The mystery of Sarah's disappearance spread through Building 42 like a virus. Whispers replaced the usual office chatter, speculation replaced spreadsheets. The missing minutes of security footage, the non-existent 13th floor, the impossible vanishing act, all became grist for the rumor mill. Theories ranging from the mundane to the outlandish circulated with each refill of coffee and hurried lunch break. Some whispered of faulty wiring, of a technical glitch that sent the elevator spiraling into a forgotten shaft between floors. Others, their voices hushed and their eyes darting nervously, spoke of something darker, something more sinister lurking beneath the surface of their corporate reality. The IT department, usually relegated to the dimly lit basement and the occasional panicked call about a jammed printer, found themselves thrust into the spotlight. They combed through lines of code, searching for the digital ghost in the machine that could explain the missing footage and the elevator's impossible journey. They ran diagnostics, checked timestamps, and replaced hard drives with a frantic energy that belied their growing sense of unease. But the answers remained elusive. The system, for all its complexity and sophistication, offered no explanation, only a cold, unblinking reflection of the anomaly. The missing minutes, a digital void where logic and reason ceased to exist, remained a stubborn stain on their otherwise pristine record. For some, the explanation was clear. The 13th floor, a place shrouded in superstition and fear, held the key to Sarah's disappearance. They pointed to the building's history, to the rumors of a tragic accident during construction, of a worker who fell to his death from the 13th floor, a floor that was subsequently erased from the building plans but never truly exorcised from its foundations. The number 13, a harbinger of bad luck and misfortune, became a whispered curse, a symbol of the unseen forces at play. The elevator, a metal coffin transporting its passengers to a realm beyond the reach of logic and reason, became an object of dread, avoided at all costs, especially after hours, when the shadows grew long and the building held its breath. Others, more cynical and suspicious, saw a conspiracy lurking in the shadows. They spoke in hushed tones of corporate espionage, of rival firms and stolen secrets, of Sarah, the unwitting pawn in a game played by men in expensive suits and cold, calculating eyes. They pointed to the missing footage, not as a technical glitch, but as a deliberate act of sabotage, a cover-up orchestrated to conceal a more sinister truth. They whispered of secret floors and hidden agendas, of shadowy figures operating beyond the reach of the law, their motives as murky as the depths of the internet they used to cover their tracks. Mr. Davis, head of security for Building 42, was a man of routine and order. He ran a tight ship, his security team a well-oiled machine of former military and law enforcement, trained to anticipate and neutralize threats before they could materialize. He had dismissed the initial reports of Sarah's disappearance as an overreaction, a case of a young woman, new to the city and prone to flights of fancy, getting her wires crossed. But as the hours turned into days, and the evidence or lack thereof mounted, even Mr. Davis had to confront the possibility that something truly strange, Something beyond his years of experience and training had occurred within the walls of his domain. He pored over the security footage, his face a mask of concentration, his mind a whirlwind of possibilities. He interviewed Sarah's colleagues, her friends, anyone who might have insight into her state of mind, her routines, her secrets. But the answers remained elusive, as if she had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a void of unanswered questions. The pressure mounted. The media, sensing a story too bizarre to ignore, descended upon Building 42 like a pack of hungry wolves, their cameras flashing, their microphones thrust into the faces of anyone unfortunate enough to make eye contact. The police, their investigation stalled, grew increasingly frustrated, their initial skepticism giving way to a grudging acceptance that they were dealing with something outside the realm of their usual caseload. And through it all, the whispers continued, spreading through the building like wildfire, feeding on fear and uncertainty, transforming the once familiar corridors and offices into a labyrinth of paranoia and suspicion. Days turned into weeks. The initial frenzy of activity subsided, replaced by a weary resignation. The police investigation, hampered by dead ends and a lack of concrete evidence, slowly ground to a halt. The media, their appetite for the bizarre satiated by the latest scandal or tragedy, moved on to fresh prey. But for those who worked in Building 42, the memory of Sarah's disappearance lingered, a ghost story whispered in hushed tones, a chilling reminder that even in the heart of the city, surrounded by technology and the illusion of safety, there were forces at play that defied explanation. Section 8. The Unknown Lurks. The elevator, once a symbol of modern convenience, now stood as a silent sentinel, a metal monolith to the unknown. The 13th floor button, covered with a piece of duct tape, a feeble attempt to erase the impossible, only served as a constant reminder of the mystery that continued to haunt the building. And in the quiet moments, when the hum of the air conditioning faltered and the city outside held its breath, those who dared to listen could almost hear it. A faint whisper, a cold breath on the back of the neck, a fleeting glimpse of something moving in the shadows, a reminder that some things are best left undisturbed, that some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Section 1. The Lingering Shadow. Building 42 still stood, a monument to ambition, now tarnished by fear. The incident involving Sarah, the vanished intern, had irrevocably changed the atmosphere. The once bustling hubbub of corporate life was now subdued. Whispers replaced laughter. The constant click-clack of keyboards was now punctuated by nervous glances toward security cameras. The 13th floor button remained covered, a stark reminder of the anomaly, a silent testament to the unknown. Some employees quit, unable to shake the feeling of unease. Others, hardened by time or perhaps denial, tried to resume their routines. But the memory of that day, the day Sarah stepped into the elevator and vanished, lingered, a shadow lurking in the corners of every floor. Section 2. A Place of Unease. The police investigation officially reached a dead end. No leads, no suspects, no trace of Sarah. Theories continued to circulate. Urban legends sprang up around the incident. The building, once a symbol of progress, now carried the weight of unanswered questions. It became a modern-day haunted house, a place where the line between reality and the unexplainable had blurred. The elevator incident had exposed a vulnerability, a crack in the facade of order and control. Building 42 remained a place of business, but beneath the surface a current of unease flowed. The hidden floor, real or imagined, had become a chilling metaphor for the unknown that lurked beneath the surface of everyday life. A reminder that even in the heart of a bustling city, some secrets refuse to stay buried. Section 3. The Unanswered Question. Life, as it always does, went on. New employees joined the company, oblivious to the building's troubled history. The old-timers, those who had been there that day, carried the memory with them like a scar, a shared experience that bound them together in a silent pact of unspoken understanding. But whenever they stepped into an elevator, a shiver would run down their spine. A quick glance at the control panel, a silent prayer that the numbers would ascend in their proper order. The mystery of Sarah's disappearance remained, a cold case file gathering dust on a detective's desk. The question, whispered in hushed tones, echoed through the halls of Building 42. What happened to Sarah? Was it a technical malfunction, a sinister plot, or something else entirely? Something that defied explanation, something that challenged the very fabric of their reality? The answer, lost somewhere in the missing minutes of a security tape, remained elusive. A haunting reminder that some questions are destined to remain unanswered. And in the heart of the city, Building 42 stood as a silent sentinel, a monument to the enduring power of the unknown.